You're listening to Life with Herpes, and this is episode 24. Hello. Welcome to the Life with Herpes podcast. I am your host, Alexandra Harbushka, and as always, I am excited to be here with you. I hope you are having a great day, and I'm just thinking about you. Yeah, thought I would just share that. I'm thinking about you. I think about you guys all the time. I'm always like, I get these emails from people. I go, oh, how is this person doing? Or I get a post in Facebook. I'm like, oh, how are you doing? I wonder, and I think about you, and I just want to let you guys know I'm always thinking about you. So I'm excited for today's episode. Well, I think I'm really excited for every episode. But as you know, I love the hashtag Ask Alexandra episodes because I hear from you. I get emails, I get messages, I see them on the Facebook group, I get questions. So I love seeing all this. Before I get into today's question though, I want to make sure you're a part of the Life with Herpes community. It is free, which is always a good word, right? Free. But what you get is you're part of the Facebook group. It is uber duper secret, and it is a secret group. You get free downloads and other cool stuff. I have a couple ebooks put together. You get your downloads. 9 home remedies and what I wish I would have known when I was first diagnosed. So great ebooks. I put my heart and soul into them, so I've enjoyed writing them. And then, of course, newsletters, and it's free. It's a great way to stay connected. So I look forward to having you join. How do you join? You head on over to lifewithherpes.com, and there is a section for you to join. So join, you get a login name, a password, all sorts of fun stuff. And I go in there and I update it and things like that. All right. Oh, and since this is the hashtag Alexandra section, how do you ask a question? Well, it is also on the lifewithherpes.com. You go over there and you can submit. It's a Google form. Ask as many questions or one question, or it doesn't matter. So go on over and do that. Like I said, it's my favorite. I love getting them. I can't keep up with them fast enough. So submit them, ask questions, and send it over. So today's question is from Kelly, and she's from Melbourne, Australia. So hello, Kelly. I wish I had the Australian accent. I wish I could do something fun, but I don't have it. But I have never been to Australia. It looks like an absolutely beautiful country. And I have a lot of friends that have been there and they love it. But I have never been to Australia. So I look forward to going there sometime. And like I said, when I get emails from you guys and I get your city, I'm like, oh, I try and connect and picture it. But I've never been to Melbourne. So I just picture coffee shops and I don't know. It looks like a very beautiful city. So thank you for sending in your question. So your question, Kelly, is such a great question. It is, what is the first outbreak like? You wrote me saying it's your first time and you're in so much pain. You feel like you can't sit down, you hurt all over, and you said, I have sharp pains in my pelvic area. First of all, Kelly, I am so sorry that you are having your first outbreak. I totally get it, and I know the other people listening totally get it. It is definitely not a fun thing, both emotionally and physically. Your first outbreak is just this stab in your heart, right? It is emotionally shocking and physically probably the most painful outbreak you will experience. I know my personal first outbreak, I couldn't sit down. I wore maxi dresses. It was in the summer. So I wore dresses just to get the air flowing, and jeans hurt, everything, right? So I get it. I understand. You are in a ton of pain. So I know that you hurt all over. So some of the, I guess, not side effects, some of the symptoms that you experience the first time you have an outbreak are fever, headache, and these are two things that have nothing to do with your genital area, right? So fever, headache, aches and pains throughout your body, basically just feeling like you have the flu. Maybe you get sore throats. Maybe you think, gosh, I have strep throat, something like that, like your lymph nodes are swollen. Basically, you feel like you have a really, really bad flu. Then you get into the burning sensation when you urinate, and the whole area, your whole pelvic area just becomes inflamed. Obviously, there are blisters that then show up. I don't know where you are in this process of blisters have already shown up or they are not there. Yet they will show up. The blisters show up. Those are very painful as well, especially as it goes through the process of them going through their life cycle, right? The blisters show up. They sometimes open up. There is kind of like that pus that comes out. It's more like a liquidy clear pus. They're like ulcers, right? So when those burst open, that's also really painful too, because it's an open sore, right? It's like like if you have an open paper cut on your finger, that hurts, right? So you have an open cut, and not to mention it's in an area that's really tender. There's a lot of nerve endings down there, right? For all the positive reasons why we have nerve endings in that area. So it is a really painful area. I have heard people not noticing their first outbreak because they had very mild symptoms, and it could possibly be mistaken for an ingrown hair or something like that. Personally, I find that really, really hard to believe with having such a terrible first symptom. I just, not that I'm saying hard to believe if you have a really mild symptom. I'm saying I find it hard to believe when people just brush it off like it is an ingrown hair or something. When mine was so severe, and Kelly, it sounds like yours is so severe, it's just hard for me to imagine somebody having a really mild first outbreak. And if that is your case, good for you. But just be aware that, yeah, it is an outbreak. It is not an ingrown hair or a zit or I don't know, you nicked yourself shaving or something like that. I get really passionate about that, going, hey, how did you miss this? When people are in denial about it. Whole nother podcast. Because that was my personal situation. As my partner said, he didn't think that what it was. He noticed that there were blisters, but thought that it was something totally different than herpes. So that's why I get really passionate and angry about that one. Anyways, I got off subject, Kelly. That is not your situation. You're saying you're in so much pain and you hurt all over and you have sharp pelvic pains. That one really surprises me on the sharp pelvic pains. A lot of times associated, like, yes, you are in pain, right? The whole area is in shock. Your body's in shock. It's trying to fight off all this new virus that has now attacked your body. But the thing about the sharp pelvic pains, I would definitely go back to your healthcare provider, your doctor, and let him or her know. Maybe phone their office. But the pelvic, that's inside the uterus. It's really hard to get an STD inside the uterus. That's a pretty secure, safe area, which means what it sounds like to me is you have something else going on. Personally, when I got my first outbreak, I had a yeast infection and bacterial vaginitis. And when I got my first outbreak, my doctor actually thought that it was just an extremely bad yeast infection, but she tested me for herpes just to be on the safe side. So I do know that when those infections get really bad, they can be painful and inflammatory. Another thing is the pelvic inflammatory disease, and that can come from not taking care of any other infections that may occur in your genital regions. So that is something I don't really hear of that happening too often with an outbreak. If any of you have those symptoms with an outbreak, let me know. I want to know. I want to know, hey, am I missing something here? Just because I personally don't experience it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But yeah, your first outbreak, like I said, it is painful. There is itching sometimes, maybe like a tingling sensation, maybe a hot spot. Once the ulcers or the lesions, whatever you want to call them, start to heal and you get scabs on them, those can begin to itch, right? Like you get a scab. Right now I have a horrible blister on my foot and it's beginning to scab, and like that scab kind of itches. So yeah, naturally a scab will itch. The good news though, it does not cause scarring. So don't worry about that leaving a scar. Not that it's kind of a difficult area anyways to see the scar, but yeah, it doesn't leave scarring. The good news, Kelly, is your first outbreak is your most severe outbreak, typically. So from now on, they will begin to be less and less, and you'll know ahead of time what to. You'll know like, oh, okay, I'm getting an outbreak. You'll get to know your triggers, and you'll be able to kind of nip it in the bud and either get on that antiviral ASAP, or you'll use a home remedy that I mention in my ebooks and things like that, and that I mention in all these podcasts. There are some home remedies that you can use to nip it in the bud and lessen the outbreak, if not even prevent it from actually popping up. This also brings me to, and I really want to talk about my crisis toolkit. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I've put my heart and soul into it. I've actually put my heart and soul into everything that I do with the Life with Herpes website, community, Facebook, podcast, all of it. I really, really do. But the crisis toolkit is what I created for somebody when you just found out you have herpes. It's devastating. You're scared shitless. It is painful. It is, oh my gosh, you have questions like, Kelly, like I have another pain in my pelvic area. Is this normal? Is it not? Like 101 questions. And the crisis toolkit is what I created for somebody that just found out. It's a week of hand holding. I have the 101, everything you need to know about herpes. I go into what herpes looks like, what it can be mistaken for. I go really, really into detail, basically on everything that Kelly just asked. So if you are just like Kelly and finding out you have herpes, head on over to lifewithherpes.com. It is on the very top of the homepage. It says, get my crisis toolkit. Find out more. Go there, find it out. I also have information on the show notes for this podcast. I'm telling you, if you just found out, I wish my future self had this for me in 2011 when I found out I had herpes. So I am glad and I am thrilled to have put this together for you. All right. Thank you so much. Remember, if you have any questions, ask them, send them over, ask them in the Facebook group, ask them in the Ask Alexandra section. On the sheet, it's on lifewithherpes.com. All right. Have a great day, you guys, and feel better, Kelly. My heart goes out to you in Melbourne. All right. Goodbye.